Welcome to the 208 Fantasy Football Show. It is August. It's football season. We got all kinds of stuff coming up. We're going to talk some news. We're going to talk some quarterback rankings. And we got goats, chickens, and probably some kittens, I think I heard earlier. Let's get started right now. Gentlemen, welcome to August. It's officially football season. It is draft season.
Football's back, baby.
We're going to do multiple drafts all month long. Lots of more content to come. Man, it's ready to roll. Justin, how you doing today?
Good. It's been a busy day. Just got back from vacation. Just trying to get settled in. So it's been good so far.
Right on. Chance the farmer, how's it going? What you got cooking up right now?
Chance the rancher. Oh man, good. We're just getting ready to get all of our beer barley thrashed. We grow barley for Coors, so we've been thrashing some of our other barley. Now we're going to thrash our Coors barley. It's been busy. It's been hot. I don't know if I have any guest appearances by animals this show, but I could make that happen. I might have to podcast from the pen and just have goats. Yeah, Lineberry can see his pet goats again. I'll just bring them on the pod.
Yes, animals, more animals and animals. That would be fun. Hey, let's jump right into it. Let's get a little NFL news.
What's going on?
Chance, what do we got cooking?
Nice. So a few things that have just come up this last week, and news is really starting to ramp up with training camp going. And I think there's a big difference between hype, which hopefully will have a lot more hype talk on some podcasts coming up. But as far as good, hard news, Ja'Marr Chase is holding in. He's been at practice. But I just find that interesting because, Ja'Marr Chase was drafted, the year after Jefferson and CD, and they're the ones working on their big contract. Ja'Marr Chase realistically shouldn't be worried about his contract until next year, but I just think it's interesting he's holding in. I don't know if it's just like a nod to ownership, like, hey, I know the Bengals owners are cheap, but remember I'm here. I just a little preview of next year if you don't get it done. So I'm not worried about the Ja'Marr Chase hold in. He's at practice, he's not participating, but something to monitor at least.
So, yes, certainly.
There was that. Justin Herbert had an injury to his plantar fascia. So it's 2 weeks in a boot, and then they're going to slowly work him back in, gradually integrate him back into play. We've talked about it. There's been a lot of talk that it shouldn't affect him being ready to go week one. But any lower body injury is scary. It doesn't matter what it is. You hear lower body injury, and you're like, I don't like that. So that's worth keeping an eye on. We'll talk about quarterback rankings today, so I'm interested to see how that affects Lineberry's Herbert love. DeAndre Hopkins with a knee injury, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. We'll see how that affects him as an older guy. And then another wide receiver got paid. Tyreek Hill got an extension. He's making $106.5 million guaranteed. Nothing other than a nice little raise for the number one ranked player in the NFL.
Yeah, leave it to Drew Rosen to add more money on to letting 0 years added to the contract.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, man, that guy could get one of your goats chance to be a starting quarterback in the NFL and getting paid. That guy's incredible.
That's the best. Oh, that's hilarious, dude. He is an unreal agent.
That is interesting because it's, as prices go up and he gets that, man, what does that do to Lamb? What does that do to Ayuk, right? What does that do to Dak? Dak's over there going, wait a minute. The Dolphins just gave an old man a raise, and I'm like, can I get something? So it's interesting, this dynamic right now.
It puts Jerry Jones in a funky situation because the Dolphins just paid their quarterback, and we'll give our receiver a raise. And the Cowboys haven't done either yet. They've got a quarterback and a wide receiver that are like...
The Cowboys look so bad, with this financial situation. They can't keep saying, we just want to wait. It's like, all these teams are paying. Everybody has to pay everybody. The cap is, what, $253 million. People got to get paid. You're America's team, but, your team's gonna get real bad. People are gonna get pissed off, and I can see Dak leaving next year.
I'm just the Cowboys. If you think about it, it just dawned on me as I'm sitting here. They haven't done anything. I mean, zero since before the offseason.
Wait.
They didn't sign anybody. They haven't moved anybody. They barely drafted anybody. It's just stupid.
They're all in, but they're all in.
No, they're not.
You said it. They're all in.
All in on. I don't know what they're all in on, but it's maybe not this year.
Old man Zeke.
Anyway, man, thanks, Chance, for the news, and we'll get stuff to you as quick as we can, man. We enjoy talking ball. Hey, seeing how you join, if you found us, join us, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button. We love to hear from you. Leave a comment. We just love talking fantasy football, and if we can help you guys win your league, we'll certainly do it. But let's jump right into our next segment here, and we're going to talk some. It's kind of our first segment, really, for QB rankings.
Okay, man.
There we go. Let's go. So we're gonna pull this up. So we met, and not as individuals, and we came up with our own rankings. And what I did is I compiled them, and just with each other. So here's our rankings. This is our top 15 quarterbacks. So there's running out a lot of surprises here, especially towards the top. And as you go down, there's always going to be some variation. Look at these, Justin. What do you see that kind of sticks out to you right out of the gate?
Just like how far Jay Daniels is going to get ranked. Like, I think Chance has made it a point to talk about rookie quarterbacks and not trusting them. And like, does Jay Daniels meet that criteria? I know Matt's super high on Caleb Williams. Like, rookie quarterbacks scare the crap out of me. They always will, because their yardage is probably not going to be the same. I think the rookie touchdown passing record is 26 or something around there, whatever CJ Stroud had, like, which isn't a huge number by any means, but Jay Daniels being in an approved offense, like, I think it'll be interesting to see what his rushing looks like.
Yeah, for sure. Chance, anything jump out at you out of this ranking?
No, I hadn't really thought about it. And then, in pre-production, we were talking about the mayonnaise group of quarterbacks. Library brought up this mayonnaise group of quarterbacks, and it's just all of these pocket passers that don't have maybe the rushing upside that we like to look for in a quarterback, a fantasy quarterback, but they're all really good, really efficient passers in a high-powered offense with weapons. And they're all quarterbacks who are throwing to the receivers that we're drafting high. So, he brought up Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Tua, Herbert, all of whom are on our rankings. You can throw Matt Stafford into there. Like, guys who are just not going to give you fantasy points on the ground like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson does, but they still every year produce, you get top 3 to 8 quarterbacks out of pocket passers who don't add a lot on the ground. And I'm just excited to see who that is this year. It's kind of it's pick your mayonnaise. You like light mayonnaise? You like olive mayonnaise? What mayonnaise do you like? Huh?
Miracle
dude,
Whip?
Miracle Whip all day. Team Miracle Whip. This guy right here, huge Miracle Whip fan, which is Joe Burrow. He's the Miracle Whip this year.
Yeah, and I do think, so just for the viewers, like, remember, these are our guys who we believe kind of where they're going to finish. And we have our own rankings on this. This is just us 3 combined. So Purdy to me is that one. I have a hard time getting behind Purdy, yet we have him as a top 10 guy. I think I would rather have Love, Goff, Tua over Purdy for me, but he just kind of lingering, right? He's a mayonnaise guy. If there's a definition of a mayonnaise guy, it's Purdy.
Wow.
So that's it.
Iowa State Cyclone? Is it because he went to Iowa State and he farms? He's
probably,
mayonnaise?
yeah. It's mayonnaise.
Man. Oh,
so,
man.
We could use vanilla, but
I'm coming around on Brock Purdy, which is weird.
Yeah, it's tough for me too. Just kind of moving it forward. So we had our own rankings and whatnot. Chance, who did you have higher than what we did, and why did you select him there?
Man, my guy, and I'm a huge fan of him from college, and I loved what he's done. I'm so high on Joe Burrow this year. I just am so ready for the revenge tour that will be Joe Burrow healthy, right? If you look, last year we were dealing with this calf injury, coming off of the injuries he's had. if you look back at Joe Burrow's healthy seasons, 2021, 2022, he finished at 7 in 2021, and he finished as a QB4 in 2022. Again, as a pocket passer, he only had 260 yards on the ground rushing, but he threw for 4,500 yards. He threw for 36 touchdowns. And when I look at him this year, Jamar Chase is going to be there. The T. Higgins, he's been franchise tagged. I don't think anyone is concerned about their wide receiver 3 with, the rookie that they drafted. Oh my gosh, that name is escaping me. Who is the rookie they drafted? Is it Burton?
Yeah, Burton.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jermaine
I
Burton.
always get Burton and Javon Baker mixed up. So Burton there. They've got a couple other guys, Charlie Jones, Andrew Idzavalis, that are dudes. They just went out and signed an athletic tight end in Mike Gesicki. I think Joe Burrow is going to absolutely come back with a vengeance and tear it up. And of all those mayonnaise quarterbacks, to me, he's that miracle whip, baby. I think you're going to get him at quarterback 6. I mean, you're drafting him in the 6th round. I think he could be a top 3 guy, no problem in the league this year.
And his haircut does match the mayonnaise, so
It does.
throw
It
that
does.
out there. So.
That bleach
Justin-
buzz cut.
Justin, who is your kind of a top guy here that you had higher ranked than what we did?
I feel like I've talked about him a lot because I feel like all my friend groups just hate him, and like I think it's just the Cowboy hate, and like everybody hates the Cowboys. I get it. I've never liked the Cowboys, but like, man, Dak Prescott, man, he is such a good quarterback. I think we were having a big discussion in one of my group chats, and I said Dak Prescott's the top 5 quarterback in the league. Like nobody can tell me any different. Like he should get paid $65 million a year. Like looking at his stats, like he threw for 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 INTs. Like he ran the ball for 242 yards, which is a little bit lower on his side. Like, man, the past 3 years he's been super consistent. Like I had my doubts coming in the year with Mike McCarthy taking over play calls and like it scared the crap out of me. But man, they were good. I think their run game is going to be worse. I think they'll use Dak more. He's 2 years removed from that really bad ankle injury where I think his ankle like completely fell off his body. So I hope he gets back to the running stuff. But man, like I feel like he's going to go into the season with a chip on his shoulder. He just finished as the quarterback 3. They're not paying him his money. Like I hope he balls out, finishes as the top 3 quarterback again, and leaves for like the Raiders or like the Giants. Like that would be fun for me. So.
Hey, just a quick question for you, Lineberry. Do you have his stats pulled up?
Yep.
Max? You do? God, I was just going to see if you, off the top of your head, knew how many rushing yards, the most rushing yards he's had in a season was. But if you look guess without looking.
I'm guessing 600. That's my guess.
Oof, not even close. His highest rushing season was 360.
How many touchdowns? What's the
6
size?
touchdowns. Yep,
It-
6
that-
touchdowns.
That makes sense though, because a lot of those years were with Zeke, right?
Yep.
His mean wasn't to run; it just hand the ball off and throw. It wasn't until the last year. I mean, last couple years when Kellen Moore came in and tried to get that offense to really throw the ball, which changed him up. And I agree with you, Justin. I think it made him a better quarterback. But
I think he's a stud. Like, and seeing how their left tackle has played, Tyler Guyton, how he's played in practice against Micah Parsons, like I'm like, all right, maybe the Tyron Smith won't be such a huge loss.
yeah, for sure. My guy, and we'll talk about the trophies in a little bit, but my guy's AR5. You guys, I really like AR5, and I have him as my 2nd ranked quarterback. And people are going to think, oh, you're way too high, Matt. I'm so high on him. I think he's going to be one of those breakout candidates. He may finish 1, 2, 3 easily overall. And I'll give you my tidbits because there's not a lot around him. But Shane Steichen, and he had 7 TDs in 3 games. So I'm with it. I think him and JT are going to cook. You add his pass catchers in it. I mean, he's got a whole year under Steichen. Let him roll, man. They're going to be a potent offense, and I'm excited to get him. And you can get him in the 6th round. Let me look that up real fast.
I believe.
Yeah.
He's going 52
52.
overall right
Yeah, the 5th round. I'll take that in the 5th round all day. Easy. If I can, you're right. I get my running backs. I get 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, or a top tight end, and him as my QB1. Yep, I'm in. Which if you kind of look through this, and we were talking about this earlier, all the quarterbacks we just talked about are in that same kind of boat. We're not necessarily taking the Patrick Mahomes, the Hurts, the Jacksons, and the Josh Allens per se as our top guys. It's not saying we won't pass on them. We're just looking at, we ranking these guys a little bit higher than what we did each other. So
Matt, I got a dynasty question for you then. If you
yes, sir. Yes.
AR, what would it take for you to trade Josh? Would you trade Josh Allen straight up for AR?
Whew. In Dynasty, you're gonna think I'm crazy. Yes, I would do it.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna say.
Really?
I would do it. I'm that's how high I'm on him. So, low guys. So we talked about our rankings a little bit higher than each other and whatnot, but let's talk about the low guys that we were a little bit lower on than the rest of us. And Chance, you go ahead and start it. Who'd you have a little bit lower than Justin and I had?
Yeah, I got two guys that to me in our rankings I was lower on, and it's CJ Stroud and Jordan Love. And I just am afraid of CJ Stroud's sophomore slump, right? Like, it was awesome. I think his offense last year for CJ Stroud and Jordan Love's the same. Like, they've each played one season and they looked so good, both of them in those seasons. They finished really high. If you look at their team, they're on high-powered offenses. They have a ton of weapons. You could argue that each of them have some of the deepest wide receiving cores in the league. I trust their coaches, but they're still just pocket passers. There's not a ton of rushing upside that they've shown yet. And to me, you get a year out, and now all of a sudden you have tape, and people can watch how you play and watch how you process. To me, give me some of those pocket passers that are a little more proven year after year. That's what I want to bank on, high floor guys. And I don't think that they're bad picks as fantasy quarterbacks, but I'm just a little lower on them. I want a more trusted commodity over someone that's only done it once so far, right? And I could be I'll have egg on my face this year for that, but to me, they're at the bottom of my pocket passer quarterbacks that I'm going to draft this year.
So Chance, I'm going to add a little bit to that because I agree with you. I'm a little bit worried about CJ Stroud. Now, I do have him higher ranked than you do, but when I look at ADPs and whatnot, AR5 is going in the same round. The upside to AR5 is so much higher than Stroud. I'll take AR5 over Stroud. So I agree with you. I'm like a little bit nervous if he's there, and there's other guys I don't like, I guess, maybe, but I'm with you. There's a sophomore slump, or at least he's not going to match those numbers again. But Justin, anything?
And to piggyback on that, like, he threw 23 touchdowns. That's not a ton. AR-15 could throw 23 touchdowns, like, and run for 15 more. He could have very similar season to Jalen Hurts. And like, the thing with Houston is, like, their defense has taken such a big step. They spent a bunch of money on the defensive side, where I think a lot of their games that they're going to be done by the third quarter, just because their offense will score so many points so fast, and their defense just will hold everything out. So I just don't know how he can throw. I mean, ideally, you want him to throw for 35 touchdowns for him to finish where Joe Burrow can finish, or like Patrick Mahomes can finish. Like, I just don't see that as an outcome.
Yep, not at that price. I think it's too high. Justin, who are you a little bit lower on than the rest of us?
All right, so mine is Jared Goff. Like,
hater.
He is like the quintessential, like, mayonnaise guy. Like, I don't care. Like you're gonna throw, like, he's thrown 30 touchdowns twice in his 8 years. Sorry, like, he doesn't run the ball. I get it. He has a great offense. I think they're gonna rely a little bit more on Jameer and David Montgomery with their offensive line. Is Jameson Williams going to be anything? I don't know. Amon-Ra is still there. Sam Laporta is still there. But, like, his ceiling is last year. Like, that's his ceiling. And does anybody know what he finished last year? 7?
I looked at it. Yeah, I was going to say
7. Like,
yeah, 7.
And what round is he going in right now?
Right now, Jared Goff is at the 105. He's overall 105.
So, I mean, that I think 7 is his ceiling. That's where you're drafting him. Like, 14's like, it's a good value, but, like, again, like Matt said, like put your money where your mouth is. Like I just like running quarterbacks, and I'd rather have a Jaden Daniels at the price than a Jared Goff.
That's crazy to me that Jared Goff has only thrown 30 touchdowns once ever. One season ever he threw 30. That's crazy.
Well, he threw 32 in 2018 and then 30 last year. That's it.
Oh, he did. I missed the 32. Yeah, 30 and 32.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think for Detroit to win the Super Bowl, he's going to have to have another stellar season, right? That's just how it's going to have to be. We're a little bit higher on Goff as a consensus compared to some of the ADPs out there. They have him more 14, 15 from what I've seen, but I think we're getting really close to his ceiling. In my opinion, it's would you say 7, 8? I don't think he repeats that. I think he's a 10 at best. So, my guy, and I'm switching it up on his fellas because I'm going to revert here, but Tua is who I'm talking about.
Let's go! I'm hyped about this. Tua's my guy,
and I'm low on him here a little bit. I'm worried injury is my number one, and I know it's a year removed. And number two, this is just me. Everybody got paid in Miami. And so is there the initiative, the want to be better and go? I don't know. Is he going to be a 13? I have him at just barely 15, just because he's talented. But I think that's about it. I don't know that he might be a top 10 guy. Maybe, in my opinion. The offense is fantastic, but all it takes is one little injury. And you can't do this by injury. I get it, but I'm just lower on Tua. I want him to succeed. I really, really want him to. I want him to be awesome. There's other guys that I would rather have. I'll be honest. Don't be mad at me, but give me Cousins.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Give me Cousins over Tua. I'm gonna give me Aaron Rodgers. Give me Stafford. Give me the old dogs over Tua. In my opinion. So.
Am I the only Tua truther on this podcast? I'm the only.
I think so.
Listen, I'm a Tua truther. I mean, having a guy on your dynasty team will do that. But
would you realistically take Tua over Jordan Love right now?
So we've had this conversation before.
Yep.
If we're talking dynasty, right? If we're talking some of those guys, I would take Tua over Jordan Love just for like the value. And we talked about this in trades, right? Like, would you rather, if you didn't have Tua and you didn't have Love and you're going to go out and get one of the two of them, I'm going to pay much less for Tua than I would for Jordan Love, right? It's going to cost me less to acquire him and I can get other things. Let's see. And this is always one of the fascinating things. Jordan Love last year scored in half-point PPR 330 fantasy points. Tua scored 284. So Tua scored 50 fewer fantasy points over the course of the year. And sometimes, especially when we talk quarterbacks, I think at the end of the season, something that I always struggle with is like, realistically, what is your difference in some of those mid-range guys of how many points they actually score on the season? I mean, if you take those 50 points, yeah, that's a big difference, it feels like. But if you divide it up over the course of the season or their average points per game, it's really not a massive difference between some of these mid-round or middling quarterbacks from, let's say, 5 to 15. Sometimes your point difference is 10 points, 12 points between some of those positions.
Last year it was 2 points.
2 points?
Yeah, it's close.
So like, toss them in a bag, shake it up, and see who falls out. We can have that argument all we want, but sometimes, especially in Dynasty, and I know we talk redraft a lot, I will take guys that are in those lower rounds because my difference in points at the end of the season isn't going to be drastic. It's not going to be huge, but my difference in a round 4, 5, or 6 wide receiver, tight end, running back from a guy that I'm taking a dart throw on later, those point differences are going to be really big. So for me, it's a numbers game. For fantasy. So
that's fair. I just, if Tyreek Hill goes down, Tua's numbers go way down.
Oh,
Yeah,
now you're hating on Waddle and
Yes.
McDaniel.
I thought he's gonna pull out the Odell.
We'll get into other running back ranks later, though, wide receiver ranks shortly. But yeah, I'm just not as high on Tua. But
That's okay.
Guys that didn't make our top 15, and we have them. But Chance, who was a guy that didn't make the top 15 that you felt should have been on the list?
Oh man, there's always those guys in fantasy that you just can't quit, right?
Yeah.
And my quarterback, I can't quit. I love Matt Stafford. I'm just a big Matt Stafford fan. I got the opportunity to watch him play his very last college game for Georgia in the Capital One Bowl in Florida. And it was super awesome. Like, he played Michigan State and beat him, which was a bummer as a Sparty fan. But I've watched Stafford play from his last senior game till now. And I think looking at this season, he's not in our top 15, our consensus top 15, but he is a very efficient quarterback. He plays in a Sean McVay system. He obviously, Puka Nacua is a stud. And now the reports coming out of camp is that Cooper Kupp is at full strength. Like, he has supported absolute stud wide receivers because he's in a system that highlights them. And I think Matt Stafford is such a great low round value because I'm a firm believer that the Rams are a Super Bowl contender in the NFC. That's just my thoughts on who they are. I think the Rams could be one of the top 4 teams in the NFC this year. So to me, Matt Stafford's my guy. Outside of our top 15, that I will draft late in every single draft just so that I can have him just so I can have him as an option. I feel real safe if I draft AR-15 or Jaden Daniels, high upside guys, and then I can go get Matt Stafford, who I know is going to have a really high floor. He's that guy to me.
Yep, for sure. And if you are a Puka or a Kupp lover, right, you have to be on board with Stafford. So
he's a tough SOB.
Yep, he is. He is one tough guy. Justin, who's your guy that didn't make our top 15?
So I'm gonna go with the Homer pick, the mayonnaise pick, with the guy that goes along with Chance's guy. I think Kirk Cousins is that guy.
The most mayonnaise.
Oh, the most mayonnaise, most dad guy. Like he's all the training camp videos. Like, man, I love watching them. They have their first open scrimmage and just watching him sling the ball around to Drake, and Drake London had 8 of the 15 targets, and I was just like, man, we're gonna cook this year. I really believe that he is in an upgraded offense. Maybe Matt and Chance believe different, but I believe as a wide receiver group, they're better. As a tight end group, they're better. As a running back group, they're better. As an O-line group, they're better. I'm super excited to see what Zach Robinson can do with this offense coming over from Sean McVay, where it feels like Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, that's their prototypical quarterback was Kirk Cousins. And he got hit in the scrimmage, fell down, got stepped on a little bit, and popped right back up. And I think everybody, had a little bit of a heart attack, but I think he's going to do really well in this offense.
Yeah, he's it'll be interesting to see, right? I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So my guy, Lineberry, kind of talked about a little bit earlier. So there's 2 that I like, but I'm going to not talk about Jaden Daniels because he has our 15. I do think he's much higher in this. I think he's probably closer to 11. I just love Jaden Daniels and his running ability and what he can do within a Cliff Kingsbury offense. And there's just tons of talk around him around training camp. He could do very well. But the guy I'm going to talk about, it's a little bit of I'm a little bit biased, but I'm going to talk about Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams should certainly be in this top 15, in my opinion. I think I had him at either 14 or 15 on the list. I can't remember. There's just so many weapons around him, and they put so much into him. If he's even remotely half good, I think he'll do all right. I think there's going to be bumps and bruises along the way. But he looks pretty good in training camp. But everybody looks good in training camp, and if you don't look good in training camp, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's got all the tools. I know people are hard on him because he's just different, and I get that. But he's a talented quarterback in my eyeballs. And gosh dang it, as a Bears fan, I just want it to happen so bad. So I'll admit that. And we'll put receipts down for this stuff too. It's hey, yeah, we missed this, but we got this right, and we're better than consensus on others. So that's Caleb Williams is my guy.
I think it's cool that we're all fans of different franchises, and literally in the draft this year, all three of our franchises went and got a first round quarterback. So I mean, like we get a live and die by that sword, and one of the three of us, hopefully all three of us, are pumped about it for the next 5 or so 10 years. But there's a good chance in 1 year from now, when we're talking draft stuff.
Hey, my guy's not going to play for 5 years, so chill out.
Yeah. You're right. Of the three of us, it's probably going to be Bo Nix or the Broncos that you guys are like, who are they going to draft the first round quarterback this year?
Shador, baby.
I got high hopes for Bo Nix. That is the one place I wanted him to go was Denver. I really wanted him to go. I thought that was the best fit for him.
I was going to ask you when you were talking about AR-15, this is just a fun little thing. What percentage of starts, if you take all of Bo Nix's starts in college, 63 starts, what percentage of that do you think AR-15 has started as a starting quarterback in college?
I know this is a crazy stat. He's like
11.
Yeah,
it's way less. I don't think he played a full college season, did he?
He's played 13 college games.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then 4, he started 2, but he's played in 4. He had some weird. I know his NFL stats are weird.
It's like 2 halves. He played 2 halves and 2 full games.
2 full games. So if you count those as 4, he has 17 starts. He has a quarter of Bo Nix's starts.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. But I just think Bo Nix fits Sean Payton's offensive scheme really well, and he looks slow, but I'm telling you, Bo Nix is crafty.
Oh yeah,
he is. He's slippery. He's going to be just fine. I really like him. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hopeful for you. Chance is what I'm trying to say.
I'm just glad you and I get to watch our rookie quarterbacks play this year.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for sure.
Limeberry's baby is going to be able to walk and talk before he gets to watch Michael Penix play.
Yeah, you never know.
She might be in elementary school by then.
Yeah, so here's our rankings. So one of the things I do want to bring up, so you see the little trophy markers that we have on here. And what we're designating is these are your league winners. And we kind of talked about them. You understand my AR5 and why I think he could be 1 or 2. Chance talked about Joe Burrow and why he believes it for the value. But Lineberry, we didn't talk much Kyler Murray, and you've got him as your guy who's sitting number 8 in ADP. Talk to us why you think he is the league winner for you if you go out and get him in the, I think, 6th round.
Yeah. So in our best ball draft, he got picked right before I picked, and I almost tossed my phone against the wall. I was so mad because I was like, okay, he's coming. Now, like, just wait. Because my 2 guys this year are Kyler and Herbert, who I'll probably talk about later in this episode. So Kyler Murray, and this is probably going to make Matt and Chance both happy because they both have some shares of Marvin Harrison. So Kyler's, I feel like, last legit year was 2020. So like no ACL stuff, had a decent offense, had DeAndre Hopkins, who was still relevant. Kyler finished 2nd in total points that year, just behind Josh Allen. So he threw for 3,900 yards, nothing crazy, 26 touchdowns, but he ran for 800 yards and 11 touchdowns. Like
video game numbers.
He is such a, like, people are going to say what they want to say about him as a football player, as a real life football player, as a franchise quarterback, but he was made to play fantasy football. Like, some of his points during that season, 27, 33, 24, 23, 27, 28, 38, 37, 30, 20. Like, he is going off. So next I'm going to get into his offensive staff, his personnel. Their offense was so underrated. Like, you got to remember, like, their offensive ranks when we go through division breakdowns, like, they were very mudded down because Josh Dobbs was playing those quarterbacks. And he came back, and they were a top 10 offense. Like, they were top 5 rushing offense. They were top 10 passing offense. They were just killing it. They bring in, I think, the closest guy we've seen to Jamar Chase, to Julio, AJ Green, all those guys that came out that were just height, weight, speed, great character guys, like, haven't heard anything crazy. And, like, the way they are talking about Marvin Harrison, like, he is a pro's pro. Like, Zay Jones is learning stuff from him, who's been in the league for 5 years. Like, Michael Wilson's learning stuff from him. I think there is an 80% chance Marvin Harrison goes for 1,412 touchdowns. I just think he is almost
Fingers crossed, baby.
he is almost unbustable. Like, you know, he's learned the game from one of the best that's ever played it, and his dad, Marvin Harrison. They have a good offense with not just him to be the alpha. They have Trey McBride, who is consensus top 5 tight end. They have Michael Wilson, who is I don't think will be a very good fantasy option, but he is a very good NFL football player. Zay Jones has always been a good NFL football player. They improved the O-line. Like, their offensive scheme as a whole was underrated. Like, if you can get Kyler Murray in the 6th or 5th round, I think he is a smash. Put him on the queue, like right after you draft your 4th round guy, like that's the next guy you drafted. That's how much I believe in Kyler Murray.
I love it. I'm here for it. He's so fun to watch.
He is so good. Such a good point. The defense won't be good, to Matt's point. Like Matt has talked about, and Chance has talked about, is their defense going to be good? Probably not. But, man, like, I think they can get in some shootouts. I think Seattle's going to be bad. I think they're going to score a ton on Seattle. I think Rams-Cardinals games will be super fun to watch, just because I think it's going to be offense all over the field.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. Kyler is one of those wild cards everybody's going to be watching on. And again, if you like him, he's still pretty good value during the ADP, I think 6th round. Go get your, if you're doing hero running back strategy or whatever that is, you can get him later with potential league winning upside. So I do want to talk about, before I go into the comparison, and you mentioned it already, Justin, but I do want to talk about Herbert. Chance had mentioned earlier, he's injured, and we've got him at 14. Does that impact his fantasy value at 14 for you? And what's kind of going on with that?
So I had Herbert at 10 as my overall ranking. Like, of course, Matt and Chance both had him a little lower. Like, I think Herbert is the closest thing to Josh Allen in this league. Maybe besides AR, but we haven't seen AR too much. But, like, Herbert to start off the season, like, he was doing very well. So he had 20, 22, 29, 24, 19. Played KC, had a bad game. Played against Chicago, had 24. So he was averaging about 20, 22 points a game, which is what you're looking for. That team has been ran so poorly, and I think Chance can attest to it. Brandon Staley might have been the worst coach in football last year. He is terrible, and I think, like, not to say that Kellen was bad, but, like, that roster just was poo-poo. And they added Joe Alt, who I love. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he plays to the right side. And everybody forgets that they lost probably one of the top 5 left tackles in the league, and Slater. So he didn't play at all. And I think I just trust Jim Harbaugh. Like, he's always put good NFL teams on the field, and Greg Roman has always put fantasy relevant quarterbacks in the league. I think this will be the best quarterback that Jim Harbaugh has ever dealt with. Colin Kaepernick, Alex Smith, those guys that he has dealt with. Justin Herbert is an alien. He's 6'6". He's just as fast as Herbert. Probably has just as strong as arm as Allen and Mahomes. Kid is a freak. Again, the injury, like, it feels a little bit like Burrow. Like, they are so immensely talented, but, like, they just have such bad luck with injuries where it's like, frick, man, I just wish they could play 17 games just to see what they did. And when Joe Burrow did, what happened? They went to a Super Bowl. So that's where I am with Herbert.
Chance, anything to add to that?
I mean, the only thing I have to add to it is that I just hope it doesn't happen. I mean, like, I can only handle one stud quarterback in my division with Patrick Mahomes. I don't want Herbert to be a stud as well, and it's true. Like, Justin Herbert is so fun to watch. He's built so different. They were doing interviews. I was watching some NFL as they were doing the training camp stuff, and they were just talking about how big Justin Herbert is. He's huge. He looks like a tight end. I mean, he realistically, I like watching the Chargers. They're like my one divisional opponent as a Broncos fan that I don't hate. But again, it's because they've never been great. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, sweet, we're playing the Chargers. That could be a win for us, even if we're bad. Yeah. But I think if he can figure out who he's throwing to, get a coach that's behind him that wants to really, dial in what he's good at, he could be so good.
Can you guess what's the most passing touchdowns he's had this season?
I'd guess 32.
38.
Yeah.
Like, he threw for 5,000 yards and 38 touchdowns as a second-year quarterback. And he threw 31 as a rookie. Like,
Yeah, and guess who his QB coach was? Shane Steichen. You know why I'm like an AR5. So here's my thing on the Chargers, and I Herbert's not going to be bad as long as he stays healthy. He's probably in the right range. The Chargers are probably a 500 ball club. Anything above that is cream cheese. Some people disagree with me from a fantasy football, certainly, but you don't. Get rid of Allen. It was the right move. Send him to the Bears for a 4th rounder. You have a ton of young wide receivers you're trying to develop. You've got a young quarterback. You've built your offensive line a little bit. The next step is running back. You've got some really good running backs coming out this next year. You have a tight end that I believe he will go after from the University of Michigan, right out of Idaho, that he coached in Colston Loveland, that will fit that system. So I can see some things coming down in the future. The Chargers will be better. I just don't know if Herbert's going to be the guy this year, but give him a whole year with Harbaugh, right? Let him get that system going, and yeah, he's going to be good. So here's anybody else want to talk about a player? Either one of you want to talk about before I kind of do some analysis?
I just want to talk about I want to ask you guys' opinion in our top 5, right? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, AR5, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. Who are you most scared of? Who are you most scared to draft of those top 5? That's the thing that there are guys that I love to draft and love to draft late. And in our best ball league, it's the only share of Josh Allen I'll probably ever have because I just don't draft.
Second round, it was early. I mean, it's a 14-team league. I was like, it felt like everybody was going for onesies. It seemed like that was everybody's strategy. He was like, I'm going to get onesies.
Yeah, so that's the only share of Josh Allen I'll probably ever have. But who are you most scared of to draft in the top 5?
I can answer that question for you. Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
Lamar Jackson, he is my he's 2-time MVP. They bring in Derrick Henry. He lost a little bit of weight. I want all those other quarterbacks above Lamar Jackson for that value. Could he prove me wrong? 100%. I could look like a fool, but he makes me the most nervous in that offense. I think they want to take some stuff off of him with Derrick Henry. He's been a good thrower. People have the misconception that Lamar can't throw. That's the first thing from the truth. He can throw, but what makes him really good is his running ability. That's what makes him just outstanding as the MVP. But I feel like some of that's going to get pulled back a little bit. But I could be wrong. But I'm like, give me the other 4 over Jackson.
I think Chance is going to like this answer. I think at the beginning of the year, it was a little bit Jalen Hurts, but to see more of their stuff come out, I just don't think the Chiefs care about the regular season. I just don't think they care. They're gonna win by their 1, and they're gonna be content whether Patrick Mahomes throws 30 INTs and 3 touchdowns. They just don't care. He threw 27 touchdowns last year and 14 INTs. People are gonna attribute that to bad wide receiver play. I don't think that's a fair excuse for Patrick Mahomes, because if you want to be the greatest, Tom Brady played with a bunch of garbage. I just think they're going to do the bare minimum. Their defense is really good, really underrated. The AFC West is down. The Broncos are up. The Raiders, I don't think are very good. I think the Broncos are probably 500. Chargers, I think will make the playoffs. That's just my bold prediction. I just think they make the playoffs because I think Jim Harbaugh is that good of a coach. But they're going to beat up on an AFC West that's not very good and get some easy wins. And I just don't think he's going to put up huge numbers to warrant quarterback 4. He doesn't run the ball a ton. All other those 5 guys can run the ball. Joe Burrow runs the ball a little bit. Kyler runs the ball. It's just hard. He finished as quarterback 12 last year. That's tough to take him as a quarterback 4.
Mm-hmm. See,
you're still getting good value though, Mahomes. I think he's going round 4.
Yeah, that's tough for me. That's tough for me.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
It's a high price. It's a high price.
What's yours, Chance?
I'm out on Jalen Hurts, man, and I love Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts as a player. I just he's had double-digit rushing touchdowns the last 3 years. With them pursuing Saquon Barkley and the retirement of Kelsey, do you think that 10 touchdowns, double-digit touchdowns, is as bankable this year as it has been in the past on the ground?
No, because Saquon gets in from the 5.
I think they're gonna give Saquon, and not just because Saquon's good, but I also think as a franchise, you look at it and you say, he's a great leader and he's a good quarterback. Do we want to preserve him? And if you want to preserve him, you go get Saquon to take some of that wear and tear on the goal line away from Jalen Hurts. So to me, he's the guy in our top 5 that just makes me nervous. It's like just like your guys' fears. I just go, I don't think he has what he had.
I will agree with you, Chance. I don't think he gets above 8 rushing touchdowns, and I'm probably a little bit too conservative. But I don't think he gets double digits. However, I do think he throws for almost 4,500 yards and gets nearly 30 touchdowns, because that is the Kellen Moore way. That's what he's going to do. So I think there's the trade-off, the offset. Now, we haven't seen that, right? So it's like, if he's going to continue to throw what he did and less rushing touchdowns, I certainly understand your concern.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what we did, right? Because us professionals, as we like to call ourselves at the 208, right? We went through, and here is in the green there is our listing of the quarterbacks. I went through and we kind of put some of our counterparts out there with ESPN, CBS, and Yahoo, and I combined theirs just to kind of see if we were close. Are we with what the big dogs are saying, right? And what we had, and you kind of look through, we're pretty close. We're certainly higher on AR5. We're certainly lower on Stroud, but the rest of them, and then they have Caleb's in there. When you get towards the bottom down there, it's kind of whatever.
You love to see it. You love to see it.
Yes, I do. I do. And I it's close. I have Jaden Daniels and Caleb close in my rankings, but like they do. But I was impressed. I think ours are more accurate by nature. But anything you guys see that kind of spurs you guys on a little bit, go interesting.
I just can't believe they have Aaron Rodgers so high.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, and I none of us ranked him in our top 15, did we? None of us had him. So like, Aaron Rodgers is high to me. I think all of us are accounting for Saquon Barkley in the Jalen Hurts conversation more than the group average. Jalen Hurts number 2 there. I think what I just talked about, we built into our rankings and why Jalen Hurts is so much lower. But those are my 2 that I'm like, oh, nice. I see where we're at.
I think it's crazy to have 2 rookies in the top 15. That's crazy. Like, I get the Jay Daniels a little bit, but like he's gonna have his struggles. But like, rookie quarterbacks just aren't good fantasy value options usually. Not typically.
But yeah, I wanted to put this together. We'll do this again with our running backs, wide receivers. Just kind of compare how we look and what we're doing. And this is where we get receipts. This is where we can say, we told you so. You should have took that guy. And certainly we will take the L if we're wrong. So, well, gentlemen, gosh, that was a good QB ranking. We're just under 50 minutes, which is even better. Any last takeaways? Anything you want to bring up? Chance, we'll start with you. Anything coming up?
Not really, but just in the vein of quarterback, I just want to make sure that our listeners understand it is so important to me when I draft, and I think you guys echo this. It's important to make sure that if you go out and you draft a high ceiling guy, please pick up a high floor guy to have a backup. I don't think there's anything wrong with having 2 quarterbacks on your team to start the season in redraft. And there are a lot of great quarterbacks that are on teams in the start of the year that are guys that win fantasy leagues. I mean, guys that won fantasy leagues last year, Dak Prescott, Joe Flacco, those guys weren't drafted really high or were undrafted. So just know that there's going to be guys this season that you're going to pick up that will make a difference in your season. Don't be afraid to stash those on your bench with a later pick. Don't be afraid of that.
Yeah, Justin?
Just my bold take. I think Kyler Murray finished as the top 3 quarterback. Easy.
Fair enough. And I will add AR5 will be your league winner in quarterback. Go get that guy. He is your guy. I promise you. He is going to surprise people, and we're going to be sitting on the show and going, yeah, we knew it a long time ago. I told you. We got more content coming. Remember, subscribe, hit that like button, leave us a comment, let us know how we're doing. We just love talking ball. We love talking fantasy football in general, and we want you to win your league. We have lots more content coming. We'll have some stuff up, a show coming up around draft strategies, right? Do this, do that. There's lots out there, but we got a couple of twists on things that you guys need to see and be aware of. So with that being said, thanks everybody for joining this evening. We've got, I think, midweek. I think maybe Tuesday, Wednesday is what we're thinking. Is that correct, gentlemen?
Yep.
Yeah. So more ranks coming. Welcome to draft season, everybody. Have fun, and we'll talk soon.
See ya.